Hi, my douchies. Welcome back to the Alchemize podcast. My name is Destiny. I'm your host, and I use the internet as my personal journal where I talk about whatever I want. So today's topic came to me because I was contemplating on something that I needed to come to terms with, and I kind of had a knowing about, but I didn't have the words to express. So I was thinking about self-improvement and striving to become the better version of yourself. And I noticed that there's a difference between healthy self-improvement and bettering yourself and falling into a cycle of trying to be better and never feeling like you're enough, and that standard being set higher and higher for yourself every time. The difference is one is based on love and one is based on fear. And I realize that sometimes self-improvement can be pretty narcissistic. Now, why do I say that? Hear me out. Self-improvement becomes narcissistic when you're focused solely on improving yourself in the context of how you're gonna look the best, but not how you can use becoming the best to service others. Or if you're trying to become your best version of yourself at the expense of others. Or when you're trying to become the best version of yourself while isolating yourself from others. Sometimes we think that we can become better in a vacuum, that our self-improvement needs us to cocoon for months on end, where we don't have any external stimuli and we just work on ourselves and we're by ourselves and we're constantly self-observing and self-obsessing and being critical about every little thing and being so hyper aware of ourselves that we can lose sight of the people and the relationships that we're trying to maintain outside of this self-improvement bubble. I've noticed that sometimes it can even go to a place where I'm so hyper aware of myself that I kind of ruin the experiences I could be having with other people. And frankly, the more I contemplate on the concept, I realize that thinking that everyone is as focused on me as I am on myself is also kind of narcissistic. Because why would I believe that anyone is paying as much attention to me as I am to myself? Everyone has their own things that they're going through. Everyone has their own things to deal with. So why would my hyperfixations be someone else's hyperfixations? Why would the way that my hair looks today be so detrimental that everyone is going to care about it? I must know that other people have bigger problems to deal with. So the insecurities that come with fear-based self-improvement really keep you stuck in a cycle of narcissism and only caring about your own mental spiral. Now, that's not to say that this is necessarily a bad thing or that anyone is doing this on purpose or with the intention of being narcissistic. But if you change your perspective and kind of realize that this self-improvement cycle becomes narcissistic and very ego-based as well, it can help you snap out of it and pivot towards love-based self-improvement. Why do I say ego-based? Because if we are trying to improve ourselves based on a fear, it means that we will never ever get to a place where we're good enough. There will always be a higher standard that we need to set in order to keep chasing, because that's what our ego wants. There's an insecurity that feeds the ego that will keep it moving and keep it trying to reach something that is very hard for all of us to achieve. But that's what keeps it running. That's what keeps it alive. But if you remove the ego and you notice that there's nothing to chase, all these standards you keep setting for yourself are pointless because all of it is based on fear. You realize that you can self-improve basing it on love. And that way, instead of being so internally focused on yourself, you can start to set goals for your self-improvement to be of service to others. For example, if you are a mother who is trying to get in shape, you could be doing it from a place of, man, I'm so afraid that I'll feel unattractive for the rest of my life because I had a baby and I wasn't able to bounce back in 1, 2, 3 or something along those lines. You could do it from a place of fear with that thought in mind, or you can do it with the thought, for example, oh, I would like to get in shape because my baby deserves a mother who is physically able, ready to move, able to protect, defend, and play with them whenever they want. And I want to be healthy for my kids. If you have that goal instead of the fear and the shaming of yourself, then the approach that you'll have to your self-improvement is completely different. Now, where do these fear-based thoughts come from in the first place that make us want to chase these impossible standards that we set for ourselves. Usually it comes from feeling unworthy. It comes from not feeling like we're enough. Somewhere, somehow along our path in this life, it's been affirmed to us that we are not worthy, and we've allowed ourselves to internalize that thought. And that's why you use fear to try to improve and become a person that will be worthy. But sadly, you'll never, ever, ever be worthy, because the ego thrives on that fear. So it will do everything to keep that fear. So for example, maybe the goal at first was that, let's say it's about work. You've always worked in places where you get to a certain level in management, but once you get there, you can never surpass that ceiling because you feel like, oh no, that part of the job is for people who are really, really smart, for example. So your ego tells you at first to work hard so you can stop being one of the regular employees and you can become a team leader. Then you work towards that. Once you're there, you're thinking, oh no, but being just a team leader isn't good enough. You set another fear and then you want to achieve that again. Now I need to be in upper management. Once I'm in upper management, that isn't enough because people won't respect me enough if I'm not a CEO, CFO, or COO of the company. So you keep trying to grow and grow and grow. And when you reach the top, you realize that now you just want to go back down because it's lonely at the top. So you don't always have to follow your ego all the way to the top of your self-improvement journey based on fear, just to realize that all you want to do is go back to connection and being with others and embodying love. You can start embodying love from now, and wherever you want to be, you will get to. But without the whole long way of needing to find out the hard way that following your ego won't work. So how do we self-improve based on love? We have to start by eliminating the things that are holding us back emotionally. So that is the insecurities and the fears that we do have. A lot of the fears that we have come from things like feeling unseen or feeling unloved. In my case, that was definitely it. That I struggle to feel seen and I struggle to feel love for a long time. So what I would do is try to become better, become more intellectual, become the smartest one in the room, become the most well-spoken one around, become the type of person that people admire in order to garner that love and that affection. But I noticed that I was doing the absolute most for minimal results. There's people around me who I notice do very little with the same or better results, because instead of becoming out of fear, they've just embodied out of love, and they're just the people they are, and they are unapologetically themselves. Now, I worked my butt off to be impressive, but because all of that was based on fear, my results are limited. But whenever you are basing the person that you are, which is limitless, on love, your results will also be limitless. So my journey was that instead of seeking the feeling of being seen and the feeling of being loved externally, I needed to start seeing myself and start loving myself. And that way, whatever I did to self-improve, I could do it from a place of true care and love for myself. For example, we've all had crushes, right? If I take an example of having a crush on someone, which is a whole concept in itself. Maybe that's a video for a different day. How a crush is just all this passion and emotion that you could redirect in a more creative way, and it can help you instead of just being a spiral of limerence. But I digress. So if you have a crush and you want this person to see you, what usually happens is you try to impress them and you're giving out all this energy for them to notice you in one way, shape, or form. Now, if you decided to see yourself do all this effort and appreciate yourself for the capacity you have to want to be noticed by someone, but then the one noticing you is yourself, then that will help you to feel seen, because there is kind of this being it's a deep concept, but just to simplify things, let's go back. In order to feel seen, you have to see yourself. In order to be loved, you have to love yourself. The more you give to yourself, the more others can give to you. Because life is a reflection of what is happening internally, always. So the more love you pour into yourself and the more appreciation you have for yourself, the more your reality will project this appreciation and love you have for yourself. And you can give yourself as much love as you want. You can see yourself and appreciate yourself as much as you want. That's limitless. So once you do that and your life starts reflecting that back on you, you realize that the love and being seen that you seek by others will also be limitless. So to come back to why self-improvement can be narcissistic, not always. It can be that, depending on the way that you decide to self-improve. Are we trying to improve based on fear? Or are we trying to improve based on love? I'll choose the latter. Will you? That's the episode for today, my loves. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. I want to say how appreciative I am that you guys are taking the time to watch these videos. Please leave a comment below to let me know what you guys would like to hear about next. Or if something in this video resonated with you, also let me know. Thank you for watching, my douchies. Have a wonderful day and bye, my douchies.